Alright, here we are. Rahul here again for lecture 2 of this series. And this lecture is going to be all about site analysis. Site analysis and quick and rough modeling. Basically, I'm going to give you a kind of how-to guide on how to go about doing a site analysis, getting to your site, taking photographs, doing sketches, and making models. So let's get right into it. As I said, the aim of this lecture is to really give you a good example of how to go about doing a site analysis. My example is going to come from a project I did while I was on exchange at university, and it was a project in Storhedinge in Denmark. Now, this is a landscape architecture project, but the fundamental principles of doing a site analysis apply across landscape architecture, interior design, and really any process where you're designing spaces. So our project focused on this wedge shape of disused farmland you can see in the center of the town here. Our job was to take this space and turn it into something usable for the community. The first step in this whole process is you have to understand the brief. The brief is really fundamental to this whole thing. If you don't understand it, you're not going to produce a design that really answers it. So we had to go and meet with the stakeholders within this project, and that was the local council and community. We went to the council and they gave us a presentation and rundown of what they wanted from the site. They also gave us an insight into some of the local problems, including extreme wind conditions, flooding, and things that they expected us as designers to solve. And that goes for you too. You have to understand your brief. So get into the studio and ask questions about what it is you have to do and what problems you have to solve in your space and in your design. Right, so step 2, after you've understood the brief and met the stakeholders, is to go and visit the site and do what we call a site survey or a design analysis. What we're going to do is take you through the steps that we did in this project to show you what you could do in your project. First thing you do is you've got to take a camera and take many, many photos. 50 plus, I would expect. And, walk around the space, evaluate it from different perspectives, and take lots and lots of photos. Don't worry too much about taking the perfect photo because, you never know which one will inspire you to come up with the idea that, that really drives the concept in the rest of the project. Try and get photos that explain things, like explain the division of space. This photo here, you can see that how the space is really centrally divided by this train track that runs right through the middle of it. Try and get an idea of the textures, the light, and really the feeling, the essence of the place. As I said, don't worry about trying to take the perfect photo. If you just take a lot, some of them will be good and you'll be able to work through them later. But the important thing is to take a lot so you have something to show your team, or you have something to look on yourself and reflect and evaluate later on in the design process. One piece of advice I have to give you is you're not just a tourist walking around taking happy snaps. You're really going to look at this space with the eyes of a designer. That is, you're going to look at the things around you in a way that a normal person would not. You're going to look up, you're going to look down, and you're going to really try and pick out some of the key details of the space that maybe a non-designer would just kind of walk past. That is the texture, the light, really the feeling, something that will help you later on in the project. Step 3 is to do your rough modeling, drawings, and concepts. This is where we've done our site analysis, got a lot of photos, we come back into the studio, and we start with these rough models. Sometimes you can do these at the site if you take the stuff with you, but you really get down to the business end of it in the studio. So what we need to do is to gather lots of materials, bits of wood, cardboard, plastic, pins, string, wire, anything you can get your hands on. In this picture here, I used a base which has the aerial view of the town kind of transferred onto it. And if you want to check out a tutorial, go into the studio and click on the resources, and you might find a quick tutorial on how to achieve that transfer from a photocopy onto some foam core. It doesn't really matter how you do it, get the floor plan down, and that will help you constrain your design. So get the floor plan down in 2D, and then start to build your materials and your concept on top of that. Alright, again, what I'm showing you is really landscape architecture project, but the same thing applies to interior design. You will model the space. You'll do the doors, the walls, the stairs, the important pieces of furniture, anything in that space that you feel is essential, that's what you need to model. And do it in a way that you can, kind of quickly change it around and play around with, so that this will help you quickly express your ideas and just experiment. Because through this experimentation, you'll be able to open up new ways of thinking and new ways of attacking the problem. As I said, it doesn't really have to be a fancy model. It can be quick and dirty like this. But because it's so quick and easy and uses cheap materials, you can continue to make more than one model. So what we did here is we started to strip away everything. We took away the floor plan and just left the essentials: the railway, the stream, and the boundary, and the main buildings in the town. This allowed us to then start thinking more directly about the areas we wanted to focus on, getting rid of everything we didn't need. And eventually, we just kept creating more and more models. We made like 5 or 10 of these models. We came down to this. And this was the essence of our design concept. Here, these wooden blocks represent thick rows of trees that would act as windbreakers in the space. And the curved plastic pieces, they represent tall, more open trees that you could see through. So this was the essence of our concept. These hard windbreakers that really defined the space, and then these long, beautiful, thin rows of poplar trees, which helped create more interesting and pleasant space to walk through. And you can see that this image came from this rough, quick modeling. Our whole design concept came from that. We didn't do it through drawing. We didn't do it through anything else but modeling. So that's how modeling can really help you in a spatial sense. But you also need to do drawing, because that'll help you creating the little details as well. So sketching. Sketching is really an essential part of design that I need you to really work on as you progress throughout your life as a designer. You'll need to sketch top views, perspective views. I use markers in my work, but that doesn't mean you have to use markers. You can use whatever you want. Charcoals, pastels, crayons, pencils. Experiment with all different types of mediums. Just do many, many sketches. Quick, fast, idea generating sketches. Get them down, get them out until you find a medium that you're comfortable with. The more you do it, the better you get at it. I'm still working on my sketching. It's not the strongest part of my design. If you keep doing it, you'll get better and better and better. Trust me. Alright, so that's what you need to know about doing a site analysis. Now, what I need you to do is to go to your site, do those things I've shown you, take lots of photos, make models, do your sketches, and compile them all and report back to us in the classroom.